The night unfolded with an almost deceptive calm inside the small, aging house on Maple Street. The kind of calm that settles in after dinner when the lights grow softer and the world outside feels distant. And Ethan lay stretched across the couch with his phone loosely resting in his hand, half listening to the low hum of the refrigerator and the steady ticking of the clock on the wall, surrounded by the familiar clutter of everyday life that usually made him feel secure, unaware that everything he understood about that comfort was about to fracture in a single moment. Because when the front door suddenly slammed with a force so sharp it rattled the windows and echoed through the hallway, it felt as though the house itself flinched, and Ethan's body reacted before his mind could catch up. His heart jolting violently as he sat upright, staring toward the entrance where his father's coat swayed slowly on its hook, a silent sign that someone had left in anger. Not quietly, not peacefully, but with the finality of something broken. And the silence that followed was unlike the gentle quiet he was used to, heavier and tighter, pressing in on his chest as though the walls were holding secrets. And before he could even stand to investigate, his mother's voice cut through the stillness from deeper inside the house, sharp with fear and urgency as she called his name and told him to come to the bedroom immediately. Her tone trembling in a way he had never heard before, and without thinking further, he ran, his footsteps loud against the wooden floor as flashes of family photographs, houseplants, and familiar furniture blurred past him, all of it suddenly meaningless compared to the sight that awaited him. Because when he reached the bedroom, he found his mother standing rigid in the center of the room under the dim glow of a lamp, her hands twisting anxiously at her sleeves, her face pale and strained. Eyes shining with tears she was fighting desperately to hold back. And in that moment Ethan understood that something far deeper than an argument had taken place. Something that had shaken her sense of safety, and when he asked what was happening, his voice low and careful, she shook her head as though the words themselves were too heavy to lift, whispering that she didn't know what to do anymore, admitting in broken phrases that she thought she could manage, that she believed she could hold everything together on her own, but that she was wrong. And as she spoke, Ethan felt the weight of adulthood crash down around him, realizing that the people he depended on were fragile too. That strength was sometimes just endurance stretched thin. And when she finally spoke of his father leaving, of how she thought it would feel temporary, but instead felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet, he saw the truth written across her expression, the loneliness, the shock, the fear of facing the future alone. And instinctively he stepped closer, not as a child needing reassurance, but as a son offering it, placing himself in the space beside her because she needed someone steady. And as she gripped the edge of the bed for balance, her voice breaking as she admitted that the silence after his father's departure was unbearable, that the house no longer felt like a home, but like an echo of something lost. Ethan felt a powerful sense of responsibility take root inside him. And when she told him that she didn't know who else to turn to, that in that moment he was the only person she trusted completely. He nodded quietly and promised he wasn't going anywhere, his words simple but firm, because it was the truth. And as they sat together on the edge of the bed, the panic that had filled the house slowly gave way to something heavier but calmer. A shared grief, a shared understanding that neither of them could fix everything tonight. But they could face it together, and while his mother spoke of fear and uncertainty, of feeling exposed and overwhelmed, Ethan listened without interruption, offering presence instead of answers, because he sensed that was what she needed most. And when he placed his hand over hers, not to lead or guide, but simply to remind her she was not alone, her breathing began to steady her shoulders. Relaxing slightly, as though she had been holding herself upright by sheer force of will until now. And the room, once suffocating, felt warmer, more grounded, filled with the quiet resilience of two people leaning on each other in a moment of crisis. And as minutes passed, the night outside continued on indifferent and unchanged. But inside the bedroom, something fundamental shifted. Because Ethan realized that growing up did not happen all at once, but in moments like this, when fear demanded courage and love demanded presence, and his mother, resting back against the pillows with exhaustion written across her face, whispered her gratitude, not with dramatic words, but with a quiet sincerity that carried more weight than anything else spoken that night. And as he stayed beside her, neither rushing the silence nor fearing it, Ethan understood that life had entered a new chapter, one marked not by certainty but by connection. By the promise that even in brokenness there could be trust, even in loss there could be support. And as the house settled once more into stillness, the earlier slam of the door fading into memory, he made a silent vow that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with her, not because he had all the answers, but because being there mattered. And in that quiet room on Maple Street, amid grief and uncertainty, a deeper bond formed, built not on perfection, but on honesty, strength, and the simple but powerful truth that no one has to face the darkness alone.